One of the most important conversations you can have as a married couple is the life crafting conversation. Because we kind of get into life as a married couple just taking things as they come, never asking ourselves, do we have the bandwidth to build the life that we want to have? With our personality types, our maturity level, our ability to make money, but just whatever the situation is, we kind of have a skill set that offers a certain life at whatever point we're at. But we want this life, and we just start going for it, and we start having kids, and we start having life happen to us. There's sickness, there's job changes, and we end up in a place where we're overwhelmed and everybody's burned out. And when you have two people in survival mode who are burned out, husband and a wife, usually that drives a wedge between them. So instead of being on a team, supporting each other and helping each other, just the fact that they're surviving, they're both fighting for the same life raft. They're both asking each other for more and then feeling like they're drowning. They can't get help from the other person. They can't even ask the other person for help. And you end up in a place where it's unsustainable and marriages end up being broken. Having a conversation on the front end where you craft your life together helps you stay on the same team. So my wife and I did not do this when we got married. I just started charting a course for what I thought was going to be the best life. We just didn't know to have a conversation. And I thought, I'm going to build a big business. This business is going to pay for everything. And I know it's going to mean I have to work 60 hours a week for a long time, but my wife will be fine. It'll be good. And one day it'll pay off. And I was always giving her this indefinite ask. Like, hey, one day I'll have more energy. One day I'll have more time. One day we'll have more money. One day we won't have debt and it'll all pay off. And it kind of came to a head around the time we had our second child. We were sort of able to hide the cracks in our marriage before we had kids. And our first son was a pretty easy baby. He's that baby that kind of tricks you because he makes you think babies are easy. And we thought, oh, the second one will be no problem. But our second child was a completely different story. Not only was he a whole entirely new human, but he woke up a lot during the night. He wanted to be held a lot. He cried a lot more. He was a lot less independent, and we had a lot less to give to him. And we had more stress at that point in our life. And it just got to this point where my wife just felt like the whole burden of the home fell on her, that she was responsible for everything. And she couldn't talk to me about it. Every time she brought it up to me, I would say things to her like, I have to work and I'm too tired to do that. Or more manipulative things and harsher things like, you're being an unsupportive wife. Or why do I always have to live under just this shadow of your discontent? Why am I never enough for you? And I would say cruel, harsh, attacking things or self-pitying things. And it just made her feel more alone. And I felt more alone too. I wasn't trying to be manipulative or harsh. That was just the maturity level I was at that point in time in my late 20s, early 30s. And when it got to the point where we knew we were going to break, like we were one major crisis away just from the whole thing unraveling. And I really couldn't understand how, when I was trying as hard as I could and pouring all my love and energy and effort into creating a home, why was it still falling apart? Like, I wasn't a guy who was selfish, who wasn't trying, who was checked out. I wasn't coming home and playing video games. I wasn't an addict, so I didn't understand that, like, I just didn't have the skill set and that my wife and I weren't on the same page. So when it came to a breaking point, we realized I can't keep working as much as I'm working, having the income we have, and this continue to work the way it's working. So we had to have a major life crafting conversation where we had to look at my business, look at the emotional needs of my family for my presence and the financial needs, and start comparing all those things. Figure out how much do I have to work to make the income we have to make. And I was self-employed, so that really factored into how much do I have to charge clients? How much work can I take on? Do I get another crew? Do I scale back? And figure it out with my wife together. What's the business that I need to build or the income I need to start working towards that serves my family? Not how does my family support me building a business that is supposed to one day then take care of my family, but we never know when it's going to get there and we're just going to be drowning, hopefully not completely, in the meanwhile. And honestly, we wouldn't have been able to tread water that long. So we changed things, and it wasn't easy and it wasn't quick, and it took a couple years just to plug the holes in the ship, a couple more years to get the water out until we were successfully sailing again as a family. But those were really hard times. But it started when we had a conversation about how do we need to do things differently so that our family is at the center of everything. And that changed a lot. And it's been a constant progression since then going forward. For instance, we limited my income so that I could spend more time at home, not realizing that a lot of the great changes that I made to my business so that I could make more and work less would eventually not only lead to me working less, but to me more than doubling my income within a few years. So a lot of really great things happened, which was great because we ended up doubling the amount of children we had, inflation happened, COVID happened, but we've been able to grow with the hardships and trials of life so that we can continue to love each other and be family forward and be intentional parents present with each other as husband and as wife. So the life crafting conversation is a big one. I say all that to say that we talk about this in one-on-one coaching. One of the biggest pain points that guys come to me with is work-life balance. That they're either winning at work and failing at home, or they feel like if they give their family what they need, then they can't provide financially, and just trying to juggle all the things they have to juggle and carry all the concerns leaves them completely burned out, no time left for themselves, and they kind of walk around as a shell of a man, providing a life for everybody else, but not actually getting to live a life. And then at one point, it backfires because they realize what their wife needed, what their kids needed, was a husband and a father who was alive. That it was no good to have someone who provided everything they needed, but could not provide themselves. And that's what their family really wanted. And that's not easy to do because you have to make money. Like I said, you have a certain skill set, and charting a course to crafting that life is not easy to do. So that sounds like you. If you're in that position and you want to hire a coach, that is what I do. I'd love to work with you. You can check my email and my contact info down below, but it's honestfatherhood@gmail.com. Please reach out. I'd love to talk to you. Thank you.